Hey guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce, and we're here celebrating 200 episodes, and with that we are partnering with the Red Cross to give out to 10 people every single day 5 masks each for the next 2 weeks, just to celebrate this new milestone for us. And all I'm asking you to do is just send in what is your most favorite segment of Full Circle with Joyce, and also what else you're doing in addition to watching the show to keep yourselves entertained during this time. And so many of you have already texted in. Someone here says, tuned in Joyce and I'm loving the show. I love the spiritual part of the show. It always makes my day. Ben locked in from K North says, always love your show, starting with the inspiration. You love relationship, health tips, fashion, and Friday with DJ Sadiq. Always loving the gospel show is a blessing to me and many others. Thank you for that. Frida from Taita says, hey Joyce, I really love the Bible segment. The topics are great. I'm a new viewer to the Full Circle with Joyce. Karibu. Where have you been, girl? But welcome. And you say, I love the fitness session. All I have been doing is baking and sharpening my skills in the kitchen. I really love cooking, and I also pray and study the word. That's again Frida from Taita. Asante sana for that. And karibu tena to Full Circle with Joyce. Hilda says, I love Bible study. Someone here, you don't leave me your name, but you're watching from Githurai 45, and you say, I love anytime you bring Benjamin Zulu and you to be the host. Okay. And you say, I make sure whenever you're on, I am also on. I love it. Thank you. And Ferdinand Wangila here says, Joyce, I really love the advice on family issues on your show. And you say, kindly let me have a mask. Okay, I'm going to try and continue getting to these messages. There's quite a lot of them. And one more actually here. Before I continue, someone here says, hey Joyce, I've been following your show and learned a lot yesterday on spiritual gifts. And you say, ask the man of God if it's the will of God to lose lives, and if not, why does he allow miscarriages to happen? Oh, that's a loaded question. I feel like I need to either bring him back or have someone else address that. You know, when bad things happen to good people, maybe we should talk about that sometime. Let me know what you think about that topic. Okay, but for now, let's jump into our viewpoint discussion. And here with me, I'm joined on set by Joel Chacha, who's a reporter here at Switch TV. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. I know you're probably feeling very awkward being on the other side of the
of course
of the camera,
yeah, sure.
But it's okay. So we're just going to talk about some of the issues that we've been seeing, you know, in the news over the last week or so. Now, in the US, first of all, corona deaths have risen by 2,333 in the last 24 hours alone. I mean, the US is just not doing really well at all. That growing death toll is by far the highest globally, while Britain's rose to 32,000. I believe the US is it 67 or 76,000, something like that, putting it above Italy, now the UK, in the grim ranking of national fatalities as the United States continues to shatter. Hong Kong also announced plans to reopen schools, cinemas, bars, and beauty parlors from Friday, while Californian bookshops, florists, and clothing stores will also be allowed to reopen at the end of the week. And I want us to relate this to here in Kenya, Joe, because for sure, tunaona sasa, you know, Wakenya wameanza kurudi kazini. Even before I think Gava was thinking about reopening things, me naona traffic hii wiki, and that's the one thing I've enjoyed from Corona is no traffic. Like it's a miracle to be able to reach Mombasa Road in 10-15 minutes. But you know, Wakenya, I guess wamechoka kukaa nyumbani. A lot of them have been leaving and coming out. Do you think we're ready for that? Is this a good move at this point, considering how the US, their numbers are still really bad, the UK really, really bad, Italy? I don't think we've even put in place half the measures they have. Are we ready for things to reopen?
So on that, I guess for Kenyans, for the first time actually when we had the first coronavirus case announced, if you notice, it was like the CBD in Nairobi was totally clear. The roads were traffic free. But then after some time now we're having people coming back to the street. Yet it's now time that people should now stay at home, because we're already having the numbers about 500. So you can imagine for the US we're having more than 1 million with over 70,000 deaths. It's something we cannot maybe want it to happen in Kenya, because you see 1 million people, of course, there will be one person you know who has been infected with corona. And of course now the health system again will be overwhelmed. They'll be having maybe no enough beds, ICU facilities. Of course, we've been having already problems with the number of maybe ventilators
like that
needed.
one you saw in Kakamega, how they're sharing, is it Kakamega? Somewhere in Western. I think they were sharing beds at a hospital. Really like deplorable facilities and circumstances. And also when you look at the Kenya numbers, I feel like for the last 2 weeks or so, it was like 8 more people, 12 more people, 8 more people, 12 more people. And now we're talking about 34 people in one day. Like the numbers are just exponentially increasing.
Like for corona, since again it's something new, because even for the normal things like maybe cholera, we've been having cholera outbreaks. We've been like for Marsabit, there was a situation there where patients actually are sleeping outside. So you can imagine that's for cholera, and maybe it has not affected many people. So in a case that we're having again, now it's corona, we're having numbers, millions of people. For example, that's God forbid, but in Kenya that happens. I'm not sure if we're able to handle this. So you rather stay at home for the remaining time. Of course, we know it's indefinite, but it will just be important because, again, coming back to the street, you never know where you're going to get the coronavirus. For the situation of maybe Isli, they just continued the normal business, even after maybe the closure of the business stalls there. But again, already we're having it as a hotspot in Nairobi in this case. But again, the move by the government, of course, now to lock down Isli for the next 15 days, it's quite a good move because, of course, we'll have now people not coming in and out. But, of course, now another question is for those who are in the CBD. Because remember, the mass testing is happening especially in Kawangware and in Isli. What about maybe the CBD, having the Mudhuru, a country bus? So it's something we really need to be careful about.
Okay, absolutely. And as I did mention, more Kenyans across the country have actually started going back to work in the past week, a new report has revealed. According to Google's latest COVID-19 community mobility report released on Monday, there has been a 16% increase in the number of people accessing their work in the last 7 days. So certainly I feel it's important for us to go back to work and to find, our sources of income and whatnot. But certainly I just feel this needs to be very seriously handled because we're at risk of, making the situation even worse than it is. But let's turn to some other stories here. And these are, more on the political front, which also I did not miss. But Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko has links Upper Hill property woes to Nairobi takeover deal. Now, he cleared the air after it emerged that investigative agencies were looking into the deal and said he is a bona fide owner of the property hosting his private office. It was also reported that the commission was investigating documents. Sonko defended himself, but in a statement on Tuesday, he was quick to link the alleged probe to his stand on terminating the deed of transfer of functions between City Hall and the state. Now, without diving too much into the whole property woes and whatnot, I want us to talk about just Nairobi, period, and this whole partly managed by national government, partly still with, under Mike Sonko and the county government, and whether, we're managing this well. As we're seeing, Nairobi is such a hotspot as far as corona is concerned. Isli now, Kawangware, many different parts of the city really just not doing well. You're hearing? The way Mutai Kagwe is complaining about Kenyans. Ati mnenda kuoda sausage na sijui bia tatu. People! Like, what?
Yeah, so maybe like now for Nairobi, we're having... but one thing, of course... the reason why we elect the leaders is to have them represent us, to speak on our behalf. So when we're having someone electing a governor, of course, you bestow all the trust on the person. Now, for Sonko having gone to the State House and signed the document, it means he gave a consent. Now, on behalf of Nairobians, of course. But again, at some point, we're hearing from the governor himself talking about he didn't know what was in the... How many deals has he signed maybe and he doesn't know? Maybe all sold. It's so worrying actually for that. And when it comes maybe to matters, you're having a property they want to investigate. It's something the authorities must do, of course, because you cannot link everything actually to what you're having. Like maybe now, like for the Nairobi politics. For him, he signed the document. So for the Nairobi Metropolitan, for the Metro Metropolis Service, of course, taking over, it's what actually they're doing because it was in the agreement. If they fail to perform, Sonko may come out again and blame them because I gave you these 4 dockets. Why are you not doing anything on them?
Wow.
So for Sonko, I guess he just needs to brace up. And when there comes such cases, like maybe where he needs to be investigated, he shouldn't link it actually to what's happening, because the other time we were having, maybe it's because he was not supporting the BBI. Now we're having again him linking it to even something he signed himself. So it just needs to be smart in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's turn to another story here. And this one, for me, I was just so frustrated about. Kariobangi families left homeless as their houses were pulled down. Thousands of Kariobangi sewage slum estate in the estate, Kariobangi North, have been left homeless following the demolition of their houses. The demolition of the structures was carried out by the Nairobi City Water and Sewerage Company in a bid to reclaim the land where more than 5,000 families have been living since 2008. And here's my thing, like, even if they were on that land illegally, you don't demolish people's houses in the middle of a crisis like this.
Sure.
Where are they supposed to go when you can't leave Nairobi, right?
We're actually having now the government trying, of course, to cushion the Kenyan citizen because of the pandemic. Already they've been affected. We're having even major countries or countries that are strong in the economy down on their knees. So when it comes to Nairobi, it's the government, we would understand maybe perhaps if it would be a private developer, but now we're having Nairobi Sewerage Company demolishing the structures. Already we're having, they're telling people to stay at home. How will that be achieved?
Yes.
Because already people lost their jobs.
Yesterday
There's no
it was
stable
pouring
income.
rain,
It's so bad.
and I'm just thinking, where are these people staying? I think, and this is a question we've talked a lot about on the show, even when it comes to our police service. The question about humanity and empathy with our national government and our national institutions is honestly, I just feel like at this point and in this day and age, it's exhausting.
Sure.
Talking about I just don't understand. You guys can send in your feedback to 22299, but
for that case, Nairobi, I'm so sure even after they have demolished, for the next 2 months, 3 months, you'll find nothing ongoing on that property. So you tend to, maybe they would have taken time, because already there's a lot of focus on coronavirus currently. Right. We're having Nairobi itself having problems. Like there's a time we were talking to one of the officials, the Kenya National Union of Nurses official, and she said, in Nairobi, there were no ICU facilities. Let's not talk about the Kenyatta National, because that's a referral hospital. Like in Nairobi, there are not enough ICU. Actually, according to her, there are no ICU facilities. So you can imagine all that, maybe the resources they are channeling into such, because of course now for the caterpillars that they're doing money. The demolition, you might find even they're spending 200,000, 500,000 in just demolishing.
Yeah.
So when it comes again now to, I guess it's prioritizing what they're supposed to do currently.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so sad.
But also, these people have lived on that land since 2008. I don't understand how, in the middle of rainy season, in the middle of Corona, now is when it needs to be a priority for you to move people from a place that they've been living for 10 years.
Sure.
I just think humanity and empathy, honestly, those are just things we need to pursue as Kenyans and as, to the leadership of this nation as well. But let's try and end it on a slightly, hopefully, more lighter note. Tanzanian President, of course, Magufuli, has questioned coronavirus test kits after animal tests positive for COVID-19. Tanzania's President John Magufuli has dismissed imported coronavirus testing kits as faulty, saying they returned positive results on samples taken from a goat and a popo. Man.
Yeah, so like,
he said there were technical errors with the tests, and that the president said that it was likely that some people were being tested positive when in fact they were not infected by the coronavirus.
Joyce, for this it's quite interesting, because normally, like in Kenya, we're having it's maybe you find the activists who come out and protest on such allegations, but here we're having the government itself talking of its department maybe not doing something right, so we tend to worry what's not happening.
Wonder. I know. Oh my goodness. Joel, thank you very much for joining me here this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to catch that nice deep voice of his, on Switch TV as he reports there for our news programming, and we do appreciate your time.
Okay, sure.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a short break now, and when we get back at the top of the hour, we're going to be jumping into the second hour of our show. And coming up, of course, we have our DIY segment, but also we're going to be talking to Adele Onyama Onyango on her initiative as well as her podcast. Okay, looking forward to that conversation. And remember, we're still celebrating here 200 episodes of Full Circle with Joyce, and courtesy of the Red Cross, I have masks to give away to 10 people per day, 5 of them to each of you that win those. So do keep sending in your messages as far as what it is you really love most about Full Circle with Joyce, which segments you really most enjoy, and what you're doing to keep yourself active. I'm hearing people have been doing baking and whatnot, so I'd love to hear from you. 22999 is the SMS line. I'll see you shortly.